David Miscavige, the self-proclaimed leader of Scientology, has a reputation for physically assaulting his staff members. You're going to hear a firsthand story from my guest, Marc Headley, about when it happened to him, as well as another time that David Miscavige physically assaulted someone, as well as some other humorous stories and other stories from Marc Headley, blown for good, during his time in Scientology in the Sea organization. We hope you find this video entertaining and informative. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our channel, Scientology Peeling the Onion. My name is Marc Fisher, and we're glad you're here. This is a continuation of an interview that I did with Marc Headley, blown for good, over 2 years ago. And we've edited out some stories because that interview was over 3 hours long. And I've actually compiled them into a video here to, different stories that I think you'll find interesting and some of them hilarious and entertaining. There's going to be other stories in here as well, including how did Marc Headley start writing his book, Blown for Good, and how did he go about doing it? And what did it have to do with handling nightmares that he was having? We're also going to have a story in here about the first time that he actually talked to Leah Remini about his book, Blown for Good. There's also stories in here about Scientologists, Sea Org members, and why they smoke cigarettes, as well as David Miscavige and his health. And we also give our perspective in terms of what we think is going on and David Miscavige's future. And then there's also stories about the spy files and different things that have been done and nicknames regarding myself and Marc Headley. I'll be doing little intro commentaries in between each segment, and I hope you enjoy this video. If you would, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the like button. It helps us to get out these videos to other people who have never seen them. And so we really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. On this first part of the video, I talked to Marc Headley about writing the book Blown for Good and also recording the book, the audio version of the book, and why I really enjoyed the audio version. And he also is going to talk about nightmares and how he handled them. I listened to your book on audio, okay? I read your book when it first came out in 2008 or 9, whenever it was. It was fantastic. Yeah. But I want to refresh myself. So I saw, oh, it's on audio. So this summer I got it. And you actually, the thing I love about audiobooks, and I listen to it in the car all the time, is because it's like you're sitting in the front seat with me telling me these stories. And you did an awesome job recording the book. But I wanted to ask you even before that, in writing the book, okay, you didn't even complete high school. Did you write this book all by yourself, or did you have somebody help you? Because it's so well written. I just want to compliment you on how well written
I appreciate
Blown for Good is.
Well, and that was my main hang up on doing the book, was that I'm pretty sure if you want to write a book, you should have at least read a book. I mean, I've read Call the Wild, or like White Fang or something, but I'm not a real, I just didn't read a lot. And what little I did read was Hubbard, because that's, you have to in the Sea organization. Right. And I've read a lot of equipment manuals. I don't exactly know how to explain it, but I have some form of a photographic memory. So if I'm reading something, as long as I just see the page, then I'm good. I don't have to sit there and go through all of it. I just like chink, chink. It's kind of like I'm just scanning it. And so that's the sort of thing I would do with equipment manuals and stuff. So I could just scan through the whole thing and be like, okay, good. I know like the Matrix. You just flip through it and you're like, okay, good. I know how to work this. And then and that's what I did with all that equipment at Golden Era Productions.
Yeah, because it's not easy stuff to read those manuals.
No.
And you obviously duplicated it because you know how to do everything with it.
Yeah,
you know?
I had to use the equipment. So I couldn't, it wasn't like one of those things like you could fake it. I had to use it all day, every day.
There's no crib notes version of it.
And the other thing is, no one at when I got that equipment to do the quality control, no one at Golden Era Productions had ever read that manual before. So,
right.
So even when I read it, I was like, okay, in Scientology, you have to read a manual, then you have to get a checkout. Somebody else who's read the manual I couldn't get a checkout because nobody had ever read it. So it was like, it was sort of a weird thing. Like, hey, did you get a checkout? I'd be like, no, I can't get one. And they're like, why not? I'd go, no one's read it. And then they would be like, and every person that tried to read it would end up just buried in a dictionary for 2 days. And they were like, if you know how to use it, you know how to use it. I would go back in we lived in Burbank, and we had a house. And in the back of the house, there was like a little, like a garage that had been turned into an office. And in there, it had a little studio, little recording studio. And that was my office. And then Claire had what would be like the machine room or the equipment room where the mix board and everything would be. And I was in the vocal booth. And that was my office. And so I would just go back in my office, and I would just every night when I got home from work, kind of like I do now, I would do my day, work, do my day job. And then when I get home, have dinner with Claire and the kids. And then I'd go back into my office and I'd crank out a chapter. And I just did that every single day.
Every day. Yeah.
And every day I would just write a chapter. And sometimes I'd write 3 or 4 chapters. Like I'd stay up until 8 o'clock in the morning and just be like,
you've been on a roll.
Because once you're back in that world, it's easy. And for me, because when I'm remembering something, I'm just playing back a video in my head that happened. So I can remember almost all the dialogue, and I just go back, just transport myself back to that time or back to when this happened or what that happened. And I can just sit there and download that into words. I can just keep going over it and writing. Oh yeah, then didn't this, who was that? Oh, that was John Stumpke. And I don't know why I remember the names, and I don't know why I remember faces and what people said.
I do too. Yeah.
But for some weird reason, when I did this, up until 2009, I would have nightmares, like routine nightmares from getting like just waking up back there, or I'm in the supermarket and David Miscavige is pushing a cart with my kids and he's like, you lost the kids, just weird, just like, and I would have them so much that I wouldn't sleep because I know if I fall asleep, I'm going to have these weird nightmares. And then I would get kind of depressed or just out of sorts. And it was just a weird time. And when I finished writing the book, I stopped having the nightmares. And I thought, that's the weirdest thing in the world, that just writing it made the nightmares stop. And so then I thought, there's something to this for me that makes it so that I don't have the nightmares. And I thought, how weird would it be if somebody else who was having some weird problem read my thing and somehow it could help them? And I was like, oh yeah, I totally got to do this. I wasn't even still sure that I was going to do the book, but somehow there was something to all this. And then Claire got the ISBNs and the design, and after I had written it all and sort of got it down to like 500 pages or something, a guy by the name of Dan Kuhn.
Yeah, I know
Dan Kuhn used to be at the Ent Base, and he, funnily enough, he edited a lot of the books that are now the L. Ron Hubbard books that you see that they have, he was the one who he edited it. L. Ron Hubbard made it into these Scientology books. I thought, how funny would it be if I got that dude to edit my book? Because he edited the L. Ron Hubbard books. And then the person who designed my book is the same person who designed all the Scientology books. And so, he read the book. And after he read the book, he made that the cover from the chapter. It starts out where they're chasing me the day of my escape from Scientology. I'm driving down the highway on a motorcycle and they're chasing me with the Nissan Pathfinder SUV, and they run me off the road while we're driving down the road. And so he wrote that, he drew that. We didn't take out the lingo. And the reason I didn't want to take out the lingo was because the people that I want to read there's two people that I want to read the book. People that are in Scientology and people that are maybe thinking or interested in getting into Scientology. Right. And then if you're just somebody who wants to know about crazy shit, then you can read it too. But it's really for those two people. I want to inoculate anyone who's like having some ideas, like maybe this is a good one. Maybe, read this and then maybe think about it. And then if somebody was in Scientology, if they read it, because in Scientology, there's a lot of stuff that happens, whether you're in the Sea Org or whether you're a civilian Scientologist, there's a lot of things that happen and they don't tell you. Like,
the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
But you know something happened with somebody.
Right, but you don't know why.
And when you ask, you're either going to get in trouble for asking because you really, who cares what happened to that guy?
You don't
That's
have
nothing
the rank
to do with
to
you.
ask about
Yeah,
that.
you don't have the rank to ask where's Shelley. But then even if they're just like, I want to know about this place called the Int Base or the International Headquarters or Golden Era or whatever, you can't find out what goes on there. There's no place that tells you that. And for me, I was like, the worst I could be doing is just documenting it. Like, it happened, here it is, this is my story. And if it helps somebody by reading it, or they get some questions answered, or maybe they have a relative that works at this place, and I might talk about them in the book, which was the case for at least, I want to say 10 people wrote me saying, hey, I just read your book. Linnea is this, or Lyman Spurlock is my cousin, or whatever. And so I've gotten a lot of
We get that on our channel. We get that on our channel.
Totally.
We tell stories, the historical stuff, and people go, "Oh, that's my brother," or "That's my." We get that. Yeah.
It's kind of weird that person will find out more about their relative from us than from their relative.
From them. Yeah, exactly.
But
the other thing I was going to say is that what you're doing. I mean, what you were talking about earlier about the nightmares, stuff like that. We call it peeling the onion on our channel. Which, by the way, people subscribe to our channel, Scientology Peeling the Onion. I'm just joking, but anyway. But no, I mean, you get rid of it. Do you know what I mean? It goes away. Just because you've been looking at it, and it's very helpful. And reading your book has the same effect. You know what I mean? I had the same thing with Barefaced Messiah, written by Russell Miller. It completely changed my point of view on things. Anyway, go ahead. This next story is about actress Leah Remini and the time that she reached out to Marc Headley through someone else, and then Marc Headley getting her a copy of his book, Blown for Good. He then began a conversation with her about Scientology and what was going on behind the scenes, and that relationship has continued to this day. That relationship, that friendship, the shows that have been done, etc. I think you'll enjoy this story. Let me ask you, I was going to show you this picture because it just kind of fits in with what you're talking about here, right? What did you think about when you saw this picture?
Well, okay. I thought that's pretty good. But to be fair,
that's Leah Remini, okay?
Yeah. She was doing a show called Dancing with the Stars. And where they do these rehearsals,
she's holding a copy of Marc's book, and this is a paparazzi photo.
Yeah, and this is when she first was getting out of Scientology. And she hadn't yet done anything or wrote a book or said anything. It was just kind of like rumblings that I think Leah left Scientology. And that was sort of what was going around. And she called me. She didn't call me. She talked to somebody else, and that person was calling me and was asking me all these questions. And it wasn't somebody that I would normally talk to or that I even really knew, but they were a very, very famous Scientologist. Mm-hmm. And that person was asking me questions, and I was sort of like, wow, this is really weird. Why is this person talking to me? And also, why are they asking me these things? And then at a certain point, they were like, oh, I'm going to send this to somebody, and they're going to probably end up calling you. And I was like, okay. And again, I don't really have a big weird thing with celebrities because Tom Cruise was auditing me and Nicole Kidman was there. And also, I grew up in Hollywood. So I'm sort of like, yeah, they're just doing a job. They're not, they're taking shits on the same toilet you're taking shits on. It's just a person. Anyway, so then when Leah finally did call me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to send you a copy of my book. And then I thought, oh no, I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send you multiple copies. And I told her, I said, hey, throw our brother a bone. And maybe, you know, go to the Ivy and have Ivy's like a famous restaurant in LA where Scientology celebrities used to be.
Hang out, yeah.
Paparazzi hang out there.
Paparazzi outside, right.
I don't even know if it's still a thing, but
it is. Go ahead.
I was like, maybe you can go to the Ivy and just have a copy of my book sitting on the table or something like that. And she laughed, and I thought, okay, well, whatever. Anyway, and then all of a sudden, somebody sends me a message like, dude, I just looked on TMZ, and there's a copy of Leah with your book. And I was just like, nice. Anyway, but the book had been out for, you know, years and years and years by the time she did that. And but
she hadn't read it. She hadn't really read it yet, though, had she? Or
I don't actually know. I'm pretty sure she read it. And the funny thing about Leah,
I would imagine that it really opened her eyes, because somebody like her wouldn't know what was happening at the international base.
No.
You paint that picture so well in the book that it had to be really eye-opening for her.
Yeah, and I also talked about Ray Midoff and Mark Ingber and Mark Yeager and David Miscavige. So if you were in Scientology and you were a celebrity, you knew who I was talking about. So, and also it's very nuts and bolts, my book. You know, you think we talked about all that boring audio stuff in here. There's a lot of boring audio stuff in there too, because I'm just telling you, this is what I know. This is what I did. Yeah. This is how it went down. This is the equipment I used. And I'm just like rattling it off. People are like, we don't care that it was a Hewlett Packard 400 FL. Right. It could have been you could have just said analyzer. Anyway, but the funny though. Yes. The funny thing about Leah was that when she was talking to me, she was like, well, why didn't you write a knowledge report? And that's off policy. And I was like, Leah, you're I was like, all that, write a KR, that's for you as a Scientologist. It's a do as we say, not as we do. At the international headquarters, they don't give a shit about L. Ron Hubbard policy. It's like, whatever. We're trying to get shit done. That is not going to help. Doing all that old fuddy-duddies nonsense just slows shit down. It doesn't increase production usually.
In this next story, Marc details the time that David Miscavige attacked him in an unhinged way and physically assaulted him. This is really a traumatic experience for staff members. Imagine the head of your organization where you work or your church literally physically assaulting you and hitting you and slapping you. how would you feel? How would you react? Marc goes into details regarding the time that it happened to him. And also, we talk a bit about why staff members in the C organization, they don't know what to do and they don't know how to react. Many of them are not educated. They don't even know what their rights are in the United States in terms of their civil rights, freedom of speech, things like that, reaching out to the police. So we go into details about that too. You know, you tell the story about Miscavige hitting you, right? And did he knock your glasses off or whatever? I get asked this question all the time because he physically attacked me.
Yeah.
They always ask, why didn't you fight back? I get asked that all the time.
Well,
and I tell
in the case
them why,
of
but
you,
I'd like to get you.
Yeah. Well, in the case of me, he did hit me. He was literally just like wailing on me. He was so mad at me. And he's punching me. And I did have glasses at the time. I would always say this. I had glasses at the time. Well, now I've got glasses again. So whatever. My LASIK finally wore off. Excuse me. Anyway, so he punched me in the face several times. And when he did that, my glasses actually got broken. So they broke. And I think one of the lenses popped out or something like that. But I picked up my glasses, kind of like shook myself off, and it was in that finishing area is where this took place. So right as you walked through those swinging red doors from the Gauss line to go into finishing, it was right there on the other side of those doors, and we were in finishing, and he had ordered me months and months before to get this area rebuilt, and he said, "How much is it going to be to rebuild?" And I want a whole proposal. And I spent weeks and weeks with Russ Bellin from the Church of Spiritual Technology and Tom DeVocht, who was pricing all the construction. And we came up with what it was going to take. It was going to cost $5 million. And he was like, you are unbelievable. It's just toys, toys, toys. You should want to buy this and you want to buy that. And I got taken off post. I was the producer gold and I got taken off post. He demoted me. And he made me the director of audiovisual manufacturing, which is the post over the area that I was supposed to redesign and get rebuilt.
Yeah, right.
So instead of being the producer over all of Goldner Productions, he made me the head of the department that I had failed to design and rebuild
properly
for $5 million. That was unacceptable. Okay, well, there was months in between the demotion and this day. Fast forward many, many months later, David Miscavige, when I failed the design proposal, because I gave him one for $5 million, he himself did the design, according to him. And but it took him like a year. And for me to produce the amount of lectures and printed materials and CDs and DVDs that he had listed, in order to do it in the time frame that he wanted, those machines, I did the same thing he did with the Gauss line. What's the throughput of these machines? And what's the time frame that how many days, if it works, will it take to produce that list? And then you just make the equipment numbers match that. So if you need 10 copy machines to do that, and each machine costs $100,000, okay, you need $1 million in printers, right, or whatever it was. Anyway, he took a year doing his design, and then he spent $10 million on equipment.
Double what you were going to
He doubled it. Well, because he wasted a year of time not doing my design. So instead of getting $5 million of the equipment to produce it in 2 years, he bought $20 million of equipment to produce it in 1 year. And we were at the end of that year of getting all this stuff put together. And so when we were walking, we were almost done with everything, with all the printers and the new packaging and shrink wrappers and all this stuff. And as we're walking it through, he made this comment, which is like, yeah, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Yeah. If you fuck around for a year or two and you double the budget, yeah, this is how you do it. And I sort of said that under my breath. Like I was so like, are you really kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Like that's your story? Like this is how you do it. You just doubled my proposal. What world do we live in? Anyway, so I was like, well, yeah, I think what I said was, well, yeah, you spend twice as much, you can get it done in half as much time. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, bitch, this is not rocket science. And that's when he punched me. And so he started punching me. And so I picked up my glasses, I kind of dusted myself off, and I was like, let's go. And when I did that, when I was like, let's do it, he fucking freaked out. And Greg Wilhare, and I can't remember who the other person was. It might have been Carlo Russo or Mike Sutter or somebody. Just two dudes just picked me up and they carried me. Greg Wilhare is probably 6 foot something. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's not short.
He used to be a quarterback. No, he
used to be a quarterback. Yeah. So
for
him,
Villanova University. Yeah.
Yeah. So him and this other dude just picked me up and they just brought me outside. and as they were bringing me out, he looked to Larice and Shelley and said, "Did you see that? That guy was going to punch me." And as they're carrying me out, I was like, damn straight, Skippy. Like, I was like, fucking A, I was. You just punched me, bitch, for saying the exact thing that you did. Right. And so when that happened, and then I was pissed. I was literally like, you know how when you do something in the Sea Org and you overreact, and then you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, whatever. You knew you did something you should have done. You're like, yeah, I'm a dick. I shouldn't have. I wasn't like that. I was like, no, he's the dick, not me. He's 100% the dick. And that was not a good thing to do. Because at that point, I was essentially, he knew that I didn't give a fuck.
Right.
And I've never myself seen somebody go like, let's do this.
Right.
So I was like, yeah. If you work for the Pope and you get in a fight with the Pope, probably not going to be working with the Pope anymore.
No, and it's actually, if you really believe he's the Pope, which you're working for him and all that, it's difficult. It actually is upsetting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing that's funny is that I knew no one had done it because he looked to them and said, did you see that? That guy was going to punch me back. And it was like, yeah, that's how fights work in the real world, bitch.
And that's what I tell people. It's just that I didn't fight back, number one, because he always had an entourage. Like there were 10 people or 5 people around him. So I knew if I fought back, they would just pummel me or whatever. But the other reason I didn't do it is because I wanted them to all see how crazy he was, because he had never done that before. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'd never physically attacked, particularly somebody who worked for him, for years in front of all these staff members. There were gold staff members and stuff. And I wanted him to see how crazy he was, Yeah.
And I remember when I wrote about it in my book.
Yeah, you were there.
I was there when he did that thing to you. And similarly, he had those 2 security guards with him. Mark Yeager was there. So there was 3 other dudes there. So if it was you on Dave, Mark's going to kick Dave's ass.
Yeah, I was bigger than he was. Yeah.
Yeah, much bigger. And also you were stocky. You were like big boned. You were like, he's going to get hurt. But there were 3.
I collapsed down. And
you were just like, he was just hitting you, and you were just ground. Like, no. Yeah. But I remember that he took his glasses off. That's how I knew, like
sunglasses. Yeah.
He planned it to the, like you were there. He walked in with those guys and he took his sunglasses off and he handed them to the guy next to him. And I was like, oh, he's fixing to do something. This is not just like I was of the impression he came there to do that. And when you were just being lippy, I think you wouldn't call him.
I talked back to him for the first time. No, I talked back to him.
But the best part is you called him Dave.
Yep.
You didn't say sir, you didn't say COB, you didn't say Mr. Miscavige. He was like, "What are you going to do, Mark? How are we going to deal with this?" And you're like, "I don't know, Dave. What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Oh, this is going down." Like he came there to fight and you were like, "Yeah, what's up, bitch?"
And the crazy thing was, I was on a scissors lift up high,
Yes.
painting pipe. So I'm talking down to him. And immediately after I talked back to him, he's like, "Get down off of that lift." So I came down, got off, and then he went at me. You know?
Yeah. And it was sort of one of those things where I was just sweeping over in the corner.
You were just arrived.
And I was like, time to be invisible. And I was just like, just watching this all go down in the corner, like a statue, just like no one see me. I'm invisible. I'm invisible.
Yeah, and I had enough. I mean, like literally, you had just arrived. I've been putting up with this crap for 6.5 years.
It took
and
me
I've known him since he was 16. You know?
Yeah, it took me 14 years from that time I saw him hit you. Yeah. Took him 14 years before he got to the point where like, I'm going to gut this guy. And also, that was another thing I wanted to say. The whole time I was there, when I knew Dave, when I first got there, I was a teenager. So I was like a little scrawny guy. So it was almost unthinkable that would happen to me in 1990. But in 2004, I'm like 30 years old or something then. So it's like, okay, that's a little I'm
closer.
bigger.
Yeah, I was 31, so it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I was, 94. I was 31 too. Yeah. Cause it was 94. Yeah. I was born in 73. So yeah. Or maybe I had not turned either way. David Miscavige, he only has the power because he has these entourage or these, or also, even if you just get into a 101 argument with him and you guys have a disagreement, well, you're just going to get interrogated for the next 5 months by other people. So even if they're not there with him, he can inflict pain and suffering on you by many, many other means that you would sort of like, I got to play nice with this guy. And also between 1990 and 2004, he became increasingly and more increasingly violent and erratic and psychotic. And,
well, that's why I tell people we saw it that you wouldn't have known because you just got there, but I dealt with it and seen him going spinnier and crazier and crazier and most staff did not see that. I worked with them every day, so I could see it. And that's when I went, this is done. If I can get my wife to leave with me, I'm leaving. And then I came back because she wouldn't leave with me. And then I finally just put my foot down and went, I'm out of here. You know, I said, I'll be here with the cops if you don't give me my stuff, and I'm gone. And that's when they let me go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. You don't realize, you think when you're in the Sea Org, you think the Sea Org holds all the cards. If you know you can leave, and if they won't let you leave, you're like, oh, I'm just going to call police. They'll let you, they won't touch you. They will literally let you walk away, and you say, get my stuff ready. I'm coming back with the police tomorrow. They'll do it because they know they can't stop you from doing that. And I wish I would have known that when I was there, because I'm here escaping on a motorcycle. And as soon as the cops get involved, they're like, oh, he's gone. I was like,
well, and you wouldn't know because you were a teenager. You weren't even educated like on your civil rights, probably in the Constitution. You know what I mean? It's like all sorts of things that they violate, but had no idea, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why Scientologists frown on a formal education, because you're going to learn about all the stuff that they can't do to you if you get a proper formal education. You'll be like, that's illegal. You'd be like, oh, really? I didn't know that. I grew up in there.
And now we're going to transition to the time that David Miscavige actually physically assaulted me, as Marc Headley talked about in that previous section. I was the first person that I know of that he actually physically attacked. I had seen him lunge at people before, but I'd never seen him actually physically strike someone. And of course, that person happened to be me. I'm joined on this video clip. This is from a interview that I did a few years ago. And Gary Jackson Moorhead is my guest on the video. He was the head of gold security at the secret location at Gilman Hot Springs at the time. And he was present at the time when Miscavige physically attacked me. And we're going to talk about that. For those of you that don't know, I spent the last 6 years of my time in the Sea Organization, and I was in charge of David Miscavige's personal office up there at the secret location at Gold. And I'd worked closely with him for the previous 6 years, doing all sorts of things for him. I also took care of his wife, Shelley Miscavige, as well. So I had had a lot of experience close up firsthand with him. And then there was a time when at the end there, separating me from my wife, and I just basically got to the point where I'd had enough. So we're going to go into that story briefly, and then we'll come back with more stories from Marc Headley.
Miscavige made a mistake shortly thereafter where he put out an issue to the whole base, and I have a copy of it, which when you were searching my stuff, I actually snuck it in my pocket and took it out later after my last escape. But anyway, he put out an issue to the whole base, canceling every certificate. He didn't do it. He had Lynn Somerville do it, canceling every certificate and every course I'd ever done in Scientology. Okay. And I was crushed.
To nullify you as
he pushed it too far. You know, a lot of times, you know, people would get in trouble, and, you know, he'd curb you, you know, like you said, and, you know, eventually they come around. Well, he pushed me over the edge at that point because I'd spent 17 years in Scientology at that point, and I was on my OT7, and I was an OEC FEB. I was highly trained. And basically, he put the thought in my mind, like, well, now I'm thinking about leaving, because if I got to redo all this stuff anyway, I may as well do it out in the real world where I can make money and do what I want. I don't have to put up with this crap anymore. So he made a mistake doing that. Okay. And so
I just wanted to add, I'm sorry, Marc. I wanted to add to the significance of what you just explained of Dave taking away all your hard worked for and achieved accomplishments.
Yeah.
It would be similar to Marc having been a mechanic, somebody who can work on engine motors, and obtained all these levels of mechanic certifications that not only would reach you into higher pay levels, which it wasn't a pay level thing in the Sea Organization, it was more of personal achievement and higher training and knowledge of the inner workings of Scientology. So Dave, that was one of the tools that he would use to help crush you. There was no factual evidence to prove that Marc was no longer competent at performing those tasks. He publicly tore you apart in a public forum, as not only to to punch you in the face, but also set an example to those that are reading the issue that if you do what Marc did, you're also stand a chance of losing.
Yeah, LRH called it a head on a pike.
Yeah, learn to lose all your hard-earned work for certificates in Scientology. So that really meant a lot to a person, and I'm sure it meant a lot to you at the time.
It crushed me, and then of course I was getting security checked and all that during this time, trying to salvage me and all, right? But then, you know, comes where Miscavige actually physically assaulted me in the garage.
Down the garage, and I remember that day because I was there for that day.
Yeah, and I
stood there and watched that happen.
I don't remember, but I think you were in the garage when that happened.
I was just standing outside that where the door slid open to the right of the man door. Mm-hmm. There was where you'd walk in through, and then you can go inside and roll the door open and drive a bus in. Yeah, that was open, and you were inside, and Dave and his entourage, Shelley. Shelley was certainly there.
What I remember was Steve Perrin. It was Mark Ingber, not Mark Yeager, who later came out saying,
I do remember Ingber.
Steve Perrin, Mark Ingber, Andre was there, and because they were doing it, we were renovating the garage at that time, and I was up on a scissors lift. I was up on a scissors lift painting the pipes. They were color coding the pipes, and I was up there, talking down to it. He asked me, he says, I hear you don't want to, do you still want to leave the Sea Org? And I said, yes. And then he said,
and I remember him looking up to you too. Just that profile and the daylight
exactly
lighting
right.
him.
I was 30 feet
Everybody
up in
was
the air.
looking up to you, yeah.
And
you
said,
did have a bit of a cocky response, just the
I
demeanored
was just going to
response.
say, for the first time in my life, I actually talked back to him. I'd never done it before.
See,
and
I remember that.
Yeah, and I said, yeah, I want to leave. And he goes, you do? Why? And I said, freedom. And he said, you're a bypass case. And I said to him, no, you're a bypass case because you don't understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about freedom to live my life the way I want to live it.
Right.
At which point he ordered me down off of the scissors lift. So I came down the scissors lift, and as soon as I hit the floor, he rushed across and grabbed me and said, you want to destroy Scientology, or words to that effect.
Yeah.
And my intention was, this guy's nuts. So I wasn't going to fight him back because there were people around. So I just went limp and covered up and went down on the ground, and he kicked and pulled. And
yeah, I remember you had glasses on because they went flying across the floor too. I remember that.
I had like safety goggles or something on. Anyway, so he and
I was in shock.
And I waited till he finished up and he punched me out. I was on the ground covered up. And I stood up and I pointed my finger at him. I looked him right in the eye and I said, you notice I didn't lay one hand on you. And I wanted everybody to see that he was a nut, you know? And he said, oh, well, it's for your own good. And then I reached behind my head because I felt something warm. I pulled it out and I was blood. I said, you made my head bleed. Again, I wanted everybody to see that he was a nut. Okay?
I remember that.
Yep. And then he said, oh, well, it was for your own good, and I'll get the medical officer down here, blah, 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 blah. And then he scurried off. And,
and then Shelly came up to me and she said, get him a tissue and please. I mean, I distinctly remember she said, please make sure Mark gets taken care of.
Yeah, I'd never seen him. Look, I saw him lunge at Jason Bennick years before in our office. Lunge, literally. And Shelly and I were both like, Dave, don't do that, Dave. And we pulled him back, right? I'd never seen him physically hit anybody. And that was the first time. And
that for me was my first time of witnessing his physical attacking anybody.
And I went, this is not Scientology.
No.
I'm not sticking around for this. This is crazy.
Now we're going to lighten things up a little bit with some funny stories from Marc Headley, Blown for Good. He's really funny. He tells great stories. And then I also interject some different funny points as well. And I hope you find this amusing. And here we go. I want to show you this photo. You came to visit, you were here for a convention in Las Vegas a few years ago. And we went out to dinner. You invited me to go with you to the Hard Rock and all that. Anyway, you said, oh, let's drive by the new Las Vegas Ideal organization. He goes, let's go see if we can.
They had just built
opened
this
recently. Yeah.
They had just built this brand new organization, and it was in the middle of nowhere.
The worst place you could be. Anyway, and you go, oh, I'm going to go in there and take a picture. I do this all the time. I was scared. I was chicken. You know what? I was scared. I said, no, I don't want to do that.
It was so funny.
Here's the picture. You got a staff member to take that picture, right?
I got the person at the reception desk to take the picture. I would do this all the time. I would just go if I was in a city. And there was a new one of these ideal Scientology organizations, and it says right outside, everybody welcome. So I'm like, oh, I'm part of everybody. And then whenever I would go in there, I'd be like, oh yeah, I was at Flag and I did this, and they'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, could you take a picture of me real quick? And every time. I have one of me in Denver. I have one of me in Boston, at Las Vegas. Anytime I went anywhere, I would do it. And then I can't remember who. I think Claire told me, don't do that anymore. I was like, why? And she's like, I just don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it. And I'd be like, it's so fun to me that I'm this big bad SP. But if I just walk into your organization, you'll take a picture of me. But if you know who I am, well, then that gives me the power to be this SP. It's a weird thing in Scientology. They attach significances to things that changes everything. And if they just didn't do that, it would kind of just, I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, it was PTSD for me. I had a hard time walking around the complex. I mean, in Big Blue in Los Angeles, and you do it all the time and all that. But I did finally do it, but I was creeped out the whole time I was walking around. And the same thing, I didn't even want to go into the park. I did. I went into the parking lot of the York when you went in there. And I've got the car going.
Oh, that's right. I said, hey, that's right. We went there in your car. You picked me up. Yeah. So we drove there, and I was like, oh, let's go inside. And you were like, fuck that. I was like, well, we're just going to take a picture. And you were like, I am not getting out of this car. And I'm going to leave it running. And when you're running out, you were like my getaway driver. And I was like, it's not that big of a deal. We're just going into a building. And so I went in there, took the pic, and then I just came moseying out like, and I get in, and you're like, what happened? I'm like, oh, I got him to take a picture of me at the reception. And you're like, what? It's like, yeah, I do it all the time. It's kind of just a thing I do. Oh, I go back to the place where I was a prisoner for 15 years, and I just have fun in the lobbies.
Yeah, exactly.
But
anyway,
that was fun.
If you want to order Marc's book, you can purchase it at www.blownforgood.com. And it's in hardcover, paperback, audio, and Kindle versions. And the audio book is read by Marc personally, and it's fantastic. If you like listening
Thank you.
To him hear
I appreciate
stories,
it.
You will enjoy the book immensely. It's really, really good. It's worth, even if you've read it, get the audio book and listen to it. You're going to have a great time doing so. But you can order it there. At his website, and they autograph too if you want, right, Marc? Don't you guys do autograph books?
Yeah, but all the ones we sell, if you go to the link in the description on our merch store, all the copies we sell are sold by myself and also Claire. I did want to say that I don't do this anymore. I don't go into the organizations. I haven't done it in probably over a decade. But the reason why I don't encourage people to do that is because I don't want somebody to get in trouble or get in a weird compromising position. And it was funny that you said that, because you said you go to the complex all the time. I actually did go to the complex all the time. When I lived in Los Angeles, I didn't even care. I would walk down the street, go to protests. We did this video documentary with this guy named Serge that the Aftermath Foundation helped.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And we drove over to the complex because that's where he had his accident. It was right there on L. Ron Hubbard Way. And when we were driving around, I got a little anxious, and I was kind of like, God, I haven't felt this in this feeling of being anxious. Like, I've got to be very careful, and I've got to, and I realized it was because I had Serge with me. And I don't know what Serge's deal is. And I don't know if they do something, is he going to freak out? Is he going to have an episode, or is he going to get violent with them? And then that's where that unknown kind of comes in. If they come to me and they want to mess with me, I'm like, dude, I've done.
Hey, there's Ray Rodriguez. How you doing, bud? I haven't seen you in years.
Yeah, when I'm in Los Angeles, I've already beat the boss. I've already been all the way to the top and conquered that level. I beat the big boss. I'm not going to be worried about a low level, like a level 1 security guard. I've been to the top SP level 15 troll, David Miscavige. I've dealt directly with him for over a decade. So a security guard in Los Angeles, I'm sort of like, I know the laws. I know I'm not trespassing. I'm on a public street, GTFO. We don't need to be having a conversation. But, and that's sort of the funny thing about the hate websites they have about us and the ads they run and all the lies they tell. It's like, dude, we worked with the main guy. He did all that to our face. Sure, It sucks to have that stuff about on the internet, just lies and stuff about you. But if you know it's not true, then it's sort of like, okay, so there's somebody in Omaha that, who's Marc Headley? And they go, who is marcheadley.com? That's probably going to tell me. And they see that I, licked a bunch of crackers. It's like, okay, I'm sorry you had to read that, but pretty sure that didn't happen. But even if it did, that's what they got on me. I'm a cracker licker. It's going to say, isn't it you? I sent you the spy files, your spy files. So for those of you who don't know, I have a whole treasure trove of internal Scientology documents that are from the Office of Special Affairs. And if I saw anybody in there that had a document, then I would just send them the document. And for some of us, they have more than others. So I would just search the person or search what they refer to that person as. But Mark's initials are MF. So they call him MFer. Isn't that what your code name is?
No.
MFer?
Mofo.
Mofo. That's right. Mofo.
Where's it at? Here, right here.
Mofo Mark. Yeah, that's.
I added the Mark, but they call me Mofo. That's
call him.
Code name.
That was his SP code name, was Mofo.
Yeah. Osa, they call me Mofo. And I'm sure
it was the funniest thing. I was like,
actually, you can get T-shirts. I have a T-shirt that says Mofo Mark.
Yeah.
This coffee mug. Go to our merch site. In the description, just click on there, and you can order these things. They're great. I decided I'm going to embrace it. Why not?
Absolutely.
Hey, there aren't too many worse nicknames. That I'm a mofo. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's so funny. When I was reading, I was reading the spy files that I was going to send you, I was like, are they just calling him a mofo, or is that his name? And then after I saw a bunch of different ones, I'm like, oh no, that's his SP code name is mofo.
And I didn't know that till you sent that to me. And I was like, look, there's no way Kirsten, what's her name? Catano, there's no way she came up with that nickname. That's got to be from Miscavige. You know what I mean? Because these reports are going to Miscavige. So MF, mofo, good.
Yeah.
F you, mofo.
It's the best, mofo. But that's what I love about it too. Like, they're saying that as a way to be like, push you down even more. Yeah. Even they're going to talk about, you're never going to see these documents they're writing, but they're still going to talk about you like you're a mofo. And the fact that you made merch out of it, to me, that's what this is all about. Like,
I got a T-shirt, Mofo Mark, and then it has our Scientology stories peeling the onion on this, and you can get it in 8 colors. So if you want one.
Good job, Mark. That's the way to do it.
We took it another step too. We embraced the term rock slammer, so we got a rock slammer T-shirt as well. So if you want to be a rock slammer, you can get that too.
Rock slammer. It's the best. Okay.
Anyway, so let's
get
some questions here real quick here, and we'll get wrapped up here. We don't have a lot of them, so that's okay. Love Dreaming Peach. Question: is Mark from Marcus? Can you speak about Mark and Mark K versus C? LOL. As a cat, I always prefer K to C. Do you feel this way? Ha ha. Go ahead, Mark.
Mark is just Mark. My name is not Marcus. It's not anything else. It's just Mark. I think my parents were in Missouri. I think they were trying to be fancy and throw a C on it, because that's the French spelling. No one in my family is French. I did take French as a child because of that. But no. Comment vous appelez-vous? Je m'appelle Marc. Yeah, no, it's just a C. The funniest thing ever is I went to Starbucks and I said, it's Mark with a C. When I ordered, what's your name? Oh, it's Mark. And I just said, with a C. And when I got my cup, it said Cark. C-A-R-K. Cark. And I was like, well, got to be fair. That is Mark with a C. Just not at the right place, but that is Mark with a C, is Cark. But
I have the double whammy because I'm M-A-R-K. But my name, Fisher, F-I-S-H-E-R, can also be spelled F-I-S
with a C
H-E-R.
Yes, exactly.
So when I tell people, like when I'm on the phone, my name is Mark Fisher, and they're typing out, I say it's M-A-R-K F-I-S-H-E-R, because it gets misspelled all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm easy.
And
there are a lot of Marks in Scientology. This has been pointed out to me. Mark Yeager, Mark Ingber, Mark Fisher, Marc Headley. Mark Swanson. Yeah. Mark Swanson, where are you? I've been looking for you. I want to talk to that dude. That dude disappeared. His name is Marcus Swanson, and he's a photographer. there is a very, very famous photographer that's done a lot of stuff for Nike, and his name is Marcus Swanson. Not the same guy. So it's hard to find a photographer named Marcus Swanson when there's another big one by the same name.
There's a reporter for the Washington Post from the early 90s, and his name is Marc Fisher, spelt exactly the same as mine. And he did a story on Scientology. And I guarantee you, Miscavige probably had a heart attack when he saw the name.
Really? It's spelled the same way and everything?
Exactly the same. He's still a reporter at the Washington Post.
That's amazing. I got served in a lawsuit one time in Burbank. Marc Headley, it was with a K, but everything else seemed to be legit. There is a Marc Headley who's in the movie industry in Los Angeles, but he tends to be in the more adult entertainment industry than I think the lawsuit was like, Bikini Blondes from Bay Beach the lawsuit was in regards to that production or vampires on Bikini Beach or something like that. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is another Marc Headley. I'm not this guy. I don't know anything about Bikini Babes on Vampire Beach, but it sounds fun. But no. And sure enough, I looked it up, and there's another Marc Headley who's rocking out some low level TNA pics.
In this final segment, we talk about smoking cigarettes in the Sea Organization, David Miscavige and his smoking habits, and also we talk about his health and speculate about his future and the future of Scientology without David Miscavige. Marc Headley and I go into detail about our opinions regarding this. We hope you find this interesting. Camels for years with Miscavige. He was 2 packs a day when I worked for him, but I don't know if you knew this or not, because I think he quit at some point. He used to use chewing tobacco, Skull Bandits. He would have those little packets, and he'd put it between his cheek and gum when he wasn't smoking, and then he had a little spittoon that he would spit in. I heard
that from somebody else. I mean, I had the when you're in the Sea Org, you're not going to put a cigarette out halfway through.
No, you save it. I don't smoke, but I saw it all the time.
That's a lot of, but if you smoked it all the way through, you'd smoke it down to the cherry. There was no filter, so you'd literally be holding a coal, and you'd be like,
you need a roach clip in order to hold it, so you don't burn your fingers.
Well. If you smoke long enough and you're in the Sea Org, your fingers just get blisters, but my forefinger and my thumb were completely yellow from the nicotine, and just always. And I don't. I can't imagine smoking a Camel not filter.
I speculated on his health about a week ago on a video because 2 packs a day of Camels, Skull Bandits chewing tobacco, and then after I left, I heard cigar. Well, he started doing cigars when I was there. And then drinking whiskey, and I think Tom DeVox said he was drinking a bottle of whiskey a night or something.
That Macallan 15-year, but also
his health. He's look. I have friends that are my age that were in the Sea Org that have passed away recently. You know, how can his health be at 63 years old when he's been abusing? Plus, he has asthma. You know what I mean?
And he takes a ton of human growth hormone.
I didn't know that
when he was working out and. Doing lots of that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure, but he does have a private chef, and I think he's trying to get more healthy, but he looks, I'm just going to say.
If you think about his stress level. I mean, he lives in a cocoon of security. He can't go anywhere. He's like Hubbard. I said that he's like Hubbard. He's in hiding now from all the lawsuits and the private investigators and the process servers. He's in hiding. Now, he's living a luxurious life in that hiding, but he can't just go out and do things. I mean, if he's spotted, he's going to get served, And so he's really become, in a cocoon.
Also, I'm going to say from working there and then living out in the real world, since 2005 now, stress is a great driver of sickness and disease, and that dude is throwing tantrums and stressed out 24/7. So I can't imagine that that's healthy for the body. And anyone who's knew him and worked with him and sees the pictures that they have up on the internet or these videos, I mean, he looks like he's aged 30 more years than
Absolutely.
He kind of looks like an old, kind of like one of the,
right, Mark? Definitely.
yeah, like,
plugs. I've seen pictures of his brother Ronnie and his dad. His brother Ronnie's bald, right? And I go, he's got this full pompadour. Are you kidding me? That's either a toupee or hair plugs.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely.
I still got my hair, not a lot, but I still got it.
Hey, I'm good too. But yeah, no, he doesn't. He looks odd. At least I'll say that he looks a bit odd compared to what he used to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I started thinking about it because you know the people that I know that have recently passed away. They're like 65, 66 years old. You know, it's not out of the question that he could have poor health and something happened to him. And then my whole question is, who's he grooming to take over? Do you ever see anybody? There's nobody young enough. Number one, he doesn't trust anybody. Yeah. So anybody he said, oh, I'm going to groom you to take over. He'd chop him up, you know?
Yeah. The other thing you got to dig is Sea Org members are putting in 120-hour weeks every week. So when I added it up, I was there for 15 years and I put in about 45 years. If you just did a 9-to-5 job, I put in 45 years of work in the 15 years that I was there. If you just base it on a 9-to-5 week. Yeah. So if you're doing that, I'm pretty sure he got in when he was like 15 or 16.
He was 16. He just dropped out of high school. I met him a month later when I joined the Sea Org.
So yeah. 16. He's what, 67? How old is he?
63. No, he's
63.
2 years younger than me.
Yeah.
I just turned 65.
I'm not a math whiz, but that seems like it might be over 40 years worth of nonsense and stress and drama and tantrums.
Yeah, and I also said, look, he has no real friends. He has no family. He's got his wife hidden away. He doesn't get along with his other sisters and stuff like that. He's basically going to die alone. You know what I mean? He's going to be like Hubbard in hiding somewhere and be afraid. That's his history. Or he'll be in a jail cell by himself.
Yeah, he's already got the Hubbard playbook going great. His family is wrecked. None of his relatives want anything to do with Scientology. And he's banished his wife. The next stage is
hiding from the law.
Yeah, the next stage is FBI raid. That's where we're at in this story. So then after the FBI raid, then he goes into seclusion, and we never hear from him ever again.
I said he's probably got money stashed somewhere. He's probably already researched where the non-extradition treaties are, so he can go to some country where they can't touch him. And he's basically his history in the future is already laid out for him. Anyway, and hopefully he'll get imprisoned and put in jail.
Yeah, I think he's on track. The Hubbard playbook's going right the way it should.
That's the video with Marc Headley. I hope you found it enjoyable. I enjoyed talking with Marc. He's always a great interview. At any rate, please, if you would like to subscribe to our channel, hit that like and that notification button. It helps, like I said before, to get the message out to people who have never been involved with Scientology or family members of Scientologists out there. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps to get the word and the message out there. If you have any questions or comments about what we talked about or any of the stories that we told here, please go down into the comment section. I read them all. I answer them as best we can, and we get some great feedback from there. So that also helps the channel out. We're interested in your opinions. Also, if you would like to support our channel, in the description of the video, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link. You just click on that. You can send us some support. We do not get rich off of this channel at all. Basically, any donations that we get, it just supports us putting out these videos and covers our expenses. And we greatly appreciate our many supporters and also the channel members that we have. If you'd like to become a member of our channel, there's also a link down there where you can click on channel membership in the video description and become a supporter of our channel. Finally, I wanted to mention, Janice isn't here, but her Outback Natural complete liquid multivitamins are available. Just go down into the description in our store and you just click on it. You can order this. This is a month's supply of liquid vitamins. All your multivitamins are in here. It's peach flavored. You refrigerate it, you shake it up. You take 2 tablespoons of it, or I like to put it in a little shot glass and drink it down, and you've got all your daily vitamins. No swallowing tons of pills or anything like that. This is from Outback Naturals. This is Janice's company. And if you really want to get your vitamins in a great way, it's tasty and easy. Her complete liquid multivitamins is the way to go. So go down there, click on that, our merchandise store, and that the vitamins are available there in the United States. You can click on it and we can ship it anywhere in the United States. Anyway, that's the video for today. We want to thank you for joining us. We again greatly support all of our viewers. And until the next time, everybody, bye-bye.